An Indian politician and aerospace scientist who served as the 11th President of India, Abu Bakr Jalaluddin Abdul Kalam, says, if a country is to be corruption-free and become a nation of beautiful minds, he strongly feels that there are three key societal members who can make a difference, and they are the father, the mother, and the teacher. Let's all play our part in seeing that corruption is brought to its barest minimum or totally eradicated. Hello and thanks for joining us on another episode of The Eagle. My name is Aisha Mohammed.
Imagine a society where everything works. Durable road networks, stable electricity supply, portable water, well-equipped and functional healthcare facilities, quality education for all, affordable housing schemes, social security benefits, job creation, and a lot more that makes life comfortable to live. That is an ideal society. We can only achieve these if we all play our part. Say no to corruption to enjoy these benefits. Kill corruption to save Nigeria. This message is from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
Today on The Eagle, we have a well-packaged program for you which comprises of how EFCC wins at the Supreme Court as it affirms the forfeiture of Patience Jonathan $8.4 million. We have a report on alleged 4.5 billion naira fraud where EFCC arraigns ex-Kai Bank chairman Tunde Ayeni, and an update on the Armsgate saga as former NSA Samba Dasuki fails to stop his trial. This and more reports will come your way shortly. Please stay tuned. In what can be regarded as remarkable victory in the war against corruption, the Supreme Court has affirmed the request of the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission (EFCC) in tackling questionable wealth, as the Apex Court affirmed an order of interim forfeiture made by the Federal High Court in Lagos in respect of an $8.4 million linked to the wife of former President Goodluck Jonathan, Patience Jonathan. Martha Eche has the details.
The five-man bench of the Apex Court, led by Justice Datijo Mohammed, in a unanimous judgment, dismissed the ex-First Lady's appeal and directed her to return to the Federal High Court to show cause why the said $8.4 million should not be permanently forfeited to the federal government. The Supreme Court also rejected Mrs. Jonathan's prayer to strike down the provisions of Section 17 of the Advance Fee Fraud Act and other related offences Act, which was relied on by the Federal High Court to issue the order of interim forfeiture. Affirming the decision of the Court of Appeal in Lagos, which had earlier upheld the Federal High Court's interim order, Justice Kumai Akaas, in the lead judgment of the Apex Court, held that no reason was found to interfere with the decision of the lower court. Justice Akaas also added that patients can go back to the trial court, which is the Federal High Court, to show cause why the interim order should not be made permanent. The lead judgment was read on behalf of Justice Akaas by Justice Ejimbi Eko, also a member of the panel. Other members of the five-man panel are Justices Mohammed, John Ukoro, Eko, and Sidi Bage, and they all concurred with Justice Akaas' lead judgment. Just to let you know, the EFCC had last year approached the Federal High Court in Lagos with an ex parte application seeking the forfeiture of $8,435,788.84 and other various sums in various bank accounts linked to the wife of the former president. The Commission had in its application anchored on Section 17 of the AFF Act urged the court to grant an order of interim forfeiture of the funds which they said were suspected to be proceeds of unlawful activities. Justice Mojisola Olatoregun of the Federal High Court in Lagos had on April 20, 2018 granted the ex parte order. The judge also ordered the EFCC to publish the court's order in any major national newspaper to enable the respondents or anyone interested in the funds to appear before the court to show cause within 14 days, while the final order of forfeiture of the said funds should not be made in favor of the federal government of Nigeria. But instead of appearing before the court to show cause why the money should not be forfeited as directed by the court, Mrs. Jonathan had filed an appeal before the Court of Appeal to challenge the competence of the ex parte application filed by the EFCC to request the order of interim forfeiture. Also in her appeal, she challenged the validity of the order by the trial court and the constitutionality of Section 17 of the AFF Act, but the Court of Appeal in Lagos dismissed her appeal. The development prompted her to approach the Supreme Court, asking the Apex Court to rule in her favor. Arguing her appeal on December 12, 2018, her lead lawyer, Ifedayo Adedipe, SAN, urged the Supreme Court to quash Section 17 of the AFF Act, which he contended negated the principles of fair hearing and presumption of innocence prescribed in the Constitution. He said Section 17 of the AFF Act, which allowed assets to be seized from an individual without conviction, a hearing, or a criminal charge, whether temporarily or permanently, was unconstitutional. He also said the ex parte application, which the trial court granted, failed to disclose the alleged unlawful activities the funds were linked to. But in his response, the EFCC's lawyer Rotimi Oyedepo said the appellant's appeal was based on misconception about the provision of Section 17 of the AFF Act. He added that there was nothing unconstitutional about the said provision, which, according to him, provides opportunity to the affected person to be heard on the temporarily forfeited assets. The Supreme Court consequently dismissed Mrs. Jonathan's appeal and upheld the decisions of the Federal High Court and the Court of Appeal. Martha Eche, reporting for The Eagle.
Corruption is dishonesty and illegal behavior by people in positions of trust. A public office is a public trust. Do not abuse positions of trust for private gains. Stay away from corruption. Nigeria is a great nation, and it is our responsibility to make the country greater. If you notice any act of corruption, please report to the EFCC via info@efccnigeria.org or call 09 904 4751 or 09 904 4752. You can also call 09 904 4753. This message is from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC, has rearranged the former Secretary to the Government of the Federation, Babachir Lawal, and 3 others before Justice Jude Okeke of the Federal Capital Territory FCT High Court, Maitama. Amina Kawa has the details.
Babachir Lawal, along with his younger brother, Hamid David Lawal, one Suleiman Abakar, Apajan Mandi, and 2 companies, Roller Vision Engineering Limited and Justman Technologies Limited, were rearranged on an amended 10-count charge bordering on fraud, diversion of funds, and criminal conspiracy to the tune of over 500 million naira. They were earlier arraigned before Justice Okeke on February 13, 2019, and the prosecution was meant to open its case on March 18, 2019. At the resumed hearing, counsel for the EFCC, Ofam Ukat, told the court that the charges against them had been amended and they had to take a fresh plea. However, citing Section 218, Subsection 2 of the Administration of Criminal Justice Act, ACJA 2015, Akin Olujimi, SCN, counsel for Lawal, argued that before the charge is taken, the prosecution ought to have filed the amended charge to ensure that it was properly endorsed. All the defense counsels aligned themselves with the submission of Olujimi. Justice Okeke, while ordering the prosecution to comply with the section cited by Olujimi, however, ruled that in the interim, the amended charge be read to the defendants. They pleaded not guilty to the amended charges. The defense team thereafter prayed the court to allow the defendants to continue with the bail earlier granted them by the court. The request of the defense was granted by Justice Okeke, who adjourned to April 11, 2019 for commencement of trial, noting that the court is minded to grant an adjournment due to the amendment of the charges. It will be recalled that the court had earlier granted the defendants bail in the sum of 50 million naira with one surety in like sum, who must be resident within the jurisdiction of the court and must be owner of a landed property within the jurisdiction of the court, with evidence of 3 years tax payment. The international passports of the defendants were also ordered to be deposited with the court. Amina Kawa reporting for the Eagle.
Corruption is a cankerworm, na cankerworm. I say na cankerworm, na cankerworm. Corruption don't finish our country. Nigeria women rise up and come together, oh yeah.
Every woman come out, but we fight corruption together, oh. Every woman fall out, but we kill corruption together, oh.
Them they thief our money, send them obodo yibo. Children they suffer every day, better school in no day. Nigeria women come, oh, women from every sector, make we fight corruption, we won't kill our country. Them go collect money for light, chop the money, light we no see. Good road and good health we no see. I said na cankerworm, oh, na cankerworm, oh.
Join the EFCC in its crusade to rid Nigeria of corruption. Niger, now we all know.
The Economic and Financial Crimes Commission has arraigned the former chairman, Board of Directors, Skybank PLC Tunde Ayeni, before Justice Valentine Ashi of a Federal Capital Territory FCT High Court, APO, on a 4-count charge bordering on criminal breach of trust to the tune of 4,597,500,000 naira. The report.
Ayeni was arraigned along with Timothy Ajani Oguntayo for allegedly conspiring at different times to fraudulently divert depositors' funds domiciled at Skybank PLC to personal use. Counsel to the first defendant, Dele Adesina SAN, who held brief for the lead counsel, Wole Olanipekun SAN, informed the court of the pending bail application, which was served on the prosecution on December 13, 2018. Counsel for the second defendant, Oyetola Oshobi SAN, also made similar application. The trial judge thereafter admitted them to bail in the sum of 500 million naira and 2 sureties each in like sum, who must be resident in Abuja and must own a landed property of sufficient value within Abuja metropolis. The matter was thereafter adjourned to May 14, 2019 for commencement of trial. Jide Ilukweju reporting for the Eagle.
Justice Usaini Baba Yusuf of the Federal Capital Territory High Court Maitama has dismissed the application filed by a former National Security Advisor NSA, Colonel Samba Dasuki retired, asking the court to adjourn his 28.3 billion naira fraud trial indefinitely. Martha Eche, again, is our guide.
Dasuki had on January 9, 2019, through a motion filed by his counsel, Ahmed Raji SAN, urged the court to adjourn indefinitely. The intent of the motion was also to compel the federal government to comply with the judgment of Justice Ijeoma Ojukwu of a Federal High Court Abuja, which on July 2, 2018 ordered his unconditional release. At the resumed sitting on February 27, 2019, Justice Baba Yusuf, in dismissing the application, said that Justice Ojukwu is empowered by law to enforce an order that she gave. Therefore, the only court competent to hear the application is the Federal High Court, from which the order was given. Prosecuting counsel O.A. Atolagbe then urged the court to give a date for trial to allow the prosecution bring more witnesses to testify against Dasuki and his co-defendants. The witnesses include a former general manager, Nigerian National Petroleum Corporation (NNPC), Aminu Babakusa, a former governor of Sokoto State, Atahiru Bafarawa, and his son, Sagir, Director of Finance and Administration in the Office of the National Security Advisor, NSA, Shuaibu Salisu, and a former Minister of State for Finance, Bashir Yuguda. The trial judge thereafter fixed April 16, 17, and 18, 2019 for definite hearing. Justice Baba Yusuf had also dismissed an application for leave of the court by the Suki's defense team, urging the court to set up a panel of 6 senior advocates of Nigeria, SAN, to give legal opinion as to whether the trial could continue while the order for his release was yet to be complied with. However, the trial judge dismissed same, holding that the Suki did not convince the courts that the case could not be effectively determined without the input of the SANs, because if invited, they would not come to drive any fresh point of law. It will be recalled that since the trial of the Suki began in 2015, he has been held by the operatives of the Department of State Services and has not been present in court to face his amended 32-count charge. Martha Eche, reporting for The Eagle.
Imagine a society where everything works. Durable road networks, stable electricity supply, portable water, well-equipped and functional healthcare facilities, quality education for all, affordable housing schemes, social security benefits, job creation, and a lot more that makes life comfortable to live. That is an ideal society. We can only achieve these if we all play our part. Say no to corruption to enjoy these benefits. Kill corruption to save Nigeria. This message is from the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission, EFCC.
A famous writer, Frederick Douglass, says, "It is easier to build strong children than repair broken men." This is one of the reasons why the EFCC takes its anti-corruption campaign to children so as to catch them young and mold them into good ambassadors and the future of the country. In this next report, Amina Kawa will tell us what transpired when students of Daisy's Academy here in Abuja came to the EFCC on an educational tour. Over to you, Amina.
The students who were received on arrival by the Dex Officer Integrity Club, Aisha Mohammed, was said to be at the EFCC on a learning tour to understand the workings of the commission and to know the role they are expected to play to help move the country forward.
So you're all welcome to EFCC. From now onwards, I'm going to be your friend. We're going to play together. We're going to talk about corruption together, and we'll see how to move Nigeria forward.
The acting chairman, Economic and Financial Crimes Commission EFCC, Ibrahim Magu, who spoke with the students, advised them to be good ambassadors of the anti-corruption fight wherever they find themselves, stressing that children, being the future of the country, need to come on board to join the fight. Magu, who spoke through the head Enlightenment and Reorientation Unit, Samin Ahmad-Din, canvassed for the support of the students in winning the fight against corruption, saying EFCC needs them to join by being foot soldiers of the commission. He urged the students to be role models by living a life of integrity, adding that they should be disciplined, transparent, honest, and be morally upright in all their dealings, in order not to be vulnerable to the living a corrupt-free life as they grow up.
So we must avoid corruption. We must not mix up with bad friends. When your friend is telling you to do something that is bad, don't join him to do it or her. Tell them no, it's not good to do such a bad thing. So we should be good children. We should be good ambassadors of the anti-corruption fight in our environments, wherever we go.
An officer of the EFCC, Zainab Latifi, while addressing the students, gave them a brief of what EFCC is all about, stressing that all hands must be on deck for corruption to be eradicated or brought to its barest minimum. Tiffy told the visiting students to uphold the motto of their school, which includes honesty, integrity, and diligence. She told the students that nobody is exempted in the fight against corruption, as it is a collective responsibility that involves and affects everyone.
If we all remain honest, this country is going to be very, 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 very good. Do you agree?
Yes.
If we just decide to remain honest, if you are honest, if you are writing an exam, will you peep into somebody's own? No. If you see somebody taking something and they ask you, who took this? You say it because you are being honest. So if all will just be honest, it will be hardworking. Don't expect in the next 100 years that anyone that went to the academy will be involved in corruption. Am I going to expect that? No.
Highlights of their visit was a facility tour of the EFCC headquarters and a little message the students have for the leaders.
Please, our leaders, say no to corruption and make Nigeria a better place.
Amina Kawa reporting for The Eagle.
Well, there you have it. As the children say, our leaders should keep to their words to make Nigeria a better place for the benefit of our children and those unborn. Advance fee fraud, popularly known as 419, refers to offenses relating to obtaining cash or property by false pretense, forgery and misrepresentation with intent to defraud using financial instruments. In today's episode of The Eagle crew took to the streets of Abuja to find out how much impact the Economic and Financial Crimes Commission is making in curtailing the menace in the country, as the issue of 419, Yahoo is becoming more rampant in the country. Ilyasu Haruna Bala is our guide.
Advance fee fraud, commonly refers to 419, has its origin from Spain. 419, which is described as a crime of obtaining by false pretense, derived its name from Section 419 of Nigeria Criminal Code Act. The section of the Act states that any person who, by any false pretense and with intent to defraud, obtain from any other person anything capable of being stolen, or induces any other person to deliver to any person anything capable of being stolen, is guilty of a felony. In an interview with a cross-section of Nigerians in Abuja on how much impact EFCC made in curtailing the menace in the country, this is what they have to say.
EFCC have been actually working hard so far to ensure they curtail their activities. So I think the machineries they've put in place are doing just to it, to reducing the menace of 419 and all that.
From the activities of the president and government, I think EFCC has been trying. They've been trying.
Others who aired their view on the issue applauded the effort of the Commission in fighting the scourge and advised the Commission to do more.
I will advise the Commission to keep doing what they have been doing.
Whatever mechanism you're putting in place that have been working so far, you do it. Being just is another thing, being fairness. Being fair and ensuring that everything you do it justly without being biased.
The present government is actually breathing down hard on EFCC, which is actually yielding results in curtailing 419.
While others call on Nigerians to cooperate with the Commission in changing the narrative.
We all should get busy. We should cooperate with the EFCC. If there is any form of any suspicions we find around us, we should try and report them to the adequate body.
If you see something, you say something. If something seems fishy, report to the right authorities.
Nigerians as a whole should work hand in hand in curtailing 419 by doing away with all sorts of corrupt practices and all sorts of money laundering. I think that's just my advice to them.
Is voice out wherever you see, give information to EFCC, then they can now work well.
The penalty of committing the offense is not more than 15 years jail term and not less than 5 years without an option of a fine. If it is so, then why don't you shun the act and join hands with the EFCC to make Nigeria great? My name is Ilyasu Haruna Bala, reporting for The Eagle.
And with that, we have come to the end of today's episode of The Eagle. You too can be part of this program by sending your inquiries and suggestions to The Eagle at efccnigeria.org or search for us on Google Plus at Official EFCC or Official EFCC NG at gmail.com. You can like our page on facebook.com/Official EFCC or follow us on Twitter at Official EFCC. And of course, as usual, you can visit our Instagram page at Official EFCC. To watch our programs and other activities, please log on to youtube.com/Official EFCC. My name is Aisha Muhammad. I leave you with these parting words. Integrity is doing the right thing when no one is watching you. Be good ambassadors. Goodbye and God bless Nigeria.